Mark Waid has to be one of the most mentally ill, unhinged people out there, and yet DC Comics loves to promote this. This is the message that they want, is that half of America, more than half of America, is evil, and they hate you, and they don't want you to buy their comics. They say this over and over and over again, and yet there's still a lot of people that just roll back at Absolute Batman #1. It's like, what is happening? Why would people go back to this when these are the people they continually hire over and over and over again, and they literally hate you? They literally want you dead. Mark Waid has said so. He says I'd rather burn the industry down than share it with the alt-right. And of course, what he means by alt-right is just a normal American. You're just sitting here with your families. You're working very hard. You want to read some comic books at the end of the day, have some fun, have a superhero who fights against, crime and stuff like that, like real things. But Mark Waid thinks that you're an evil person because you checked something on a ballot box that he doesn't like. And that's exactly what's wrong with the industry. That's exactly why we've had to fight so hard. These guys have pushed back really hard, of course. They've gotten me blacklisted from the industry. They've gotten me banned from Kickstarter. They ran a mass campaign to do that. And so they really try to control everything and control this like monopoly of comics as hard as they possibly can and make it very hard on anybody else just to make comic books. And this is really insulting. So when you start to see what Mark Waid says, when the bad guys has won, when he's still out there, he's still writing Justice League. DC has changed zero. And yet everybody's pretending like this DC all-in thing has like magically transformed the industry. It drives me crazy because this is not over. These people still are embedded in this industry, and they're still causing the exact same problems they've been causing to these characters, been causing to these companies for this entire time. And it's really an insult to you and me, the customer, at the end of the day. Now, we try to do something a little different, guys, here, and I am the real alternative to DC Comics right here. I've built my own superhero universe. I've got fantasy and sci-fi worlds, and I'd love for you to sign up for my newsletter because you never know if I'm going to find you again. The algorithm doesn't just show people subscribers anymore. This is the place you need to be. So sign up for my newsletter. It's 3 free books that you get. It's a $50 value just for being here. And I have 9 graphic novels in development right now. I want to make sure those get seen by you. It's very important when those come out. And this is where we're building an alternative infrastructure, building alternative mythos to what these guys have going because they don't understand real heroism. They don't understand truth, justice, in the American way. They're not patriots. They're of course, godless people out there, unfortunately, when it comes to people like Mark Waid. And that's why they have such hate in their hearts, and it's really, really sad. We have to do something different. Join us today. Join the newsletter, and thank you guys so much for being there. You've been growing this huge over the last couple months, and I appreciate you on that. I also have a web store where you can get all of my comics at any time. The next problem with the comic industry is the fake collector's market and all that. I want people to read, and I walked into a comic book store, talked to a big retailer last year, and the guy told me maybe a third of people who buy comics in the shop actually even read the books. It's really, really sad what's going on there. It's because they don't tell stories that actually matter. They don't tell us characters that progress. There's a lot wrong with the comic industry, in addition to all the woke nonsense that they have going on. But we try to do something different. We have characters that, they live, they die, they matter, and decisions matter, changes matter. It stays the same. There's going to be no retcons or anything like that. This is what comics could be if people who were real creators were in control. And I'd love for you to check it out. There's a lot of different books. There's a little something for everybody. Grab a superhero you like, grab a science fiction book you like, or a fantasy book you like. Thank you for the support, guys. It means the world to me and my family, and it does because you keep us able to do this as a business. As we fight against this, it's an uphill battle. Like I said, they got me banned everywhere. And do hit the like and subscribe button anyway because it does help a little bit. So this is it. DC Comics writer Mark Waid, these guys, it's very weird. They go on these podcasts where like 5 people watch. And it's so crazy. I was watching Scott Snyder did this just a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wow, there's 3 people in the chat. I'm one of them, so the other 2 are just the hosts of the show. And it's like, and they won't answer your questions because, like, I was like, why did you turn Barbara Gordon black? Why do they ignore that in Absolute Batman? It's like they did it. They did the joke, right? And burgers, and they're serious about it. And this is where these people are at. It's really, really sad. And so Mark Waid goes on this podcast ranting about Trump, and I'm gonna just go over it here because it's a lot. If you don't know, last year he flipped out at the election, says, even if by some miracle this turns around, I don't believe in the basic goodness of my fellow Americans anymore. This is how hateful and weird he is. I mean, what a nut job. And without this, I cannot write superheroes. Oh, cry me a river. There's no point. When you see a decline in quality of my work soon, you'll be able to trace it back to this night. So he admits his quality of work is declining. Now, it's because he doesn't understand superheroes. He doesn't understand truth, justice, and the American way. So how could he write it? It doesn't make any sense. He hates everything. He hates America. Even though things are the easiest it's ever been in all of life ever, and things are going well, he just has to deal with this. So planning on going dark on social media news feed starting tomorrow, and he did. He ditched social media because he couldn't handle any of it. And it's because, when he gets on social media, he just goes crazy because it's just a big circle of just anger on Blue Sky over there. I mean, that's what these people are all about, just hating their fellow Americans. And that's what Mark Waid really goes mask off with here. He says, what I said was, and it's still kind of true, I'm still working it out. I said somewhere I was having a difficult time after the election writing superheroes. It was hard for me, and it's still challenging. Writing for an audience that wasn't as large as I hoped. Now, he went mask off here. Audience is not as large as you hope because you killed the audience, because you told half the audience, don't buy my books. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but these people still don't want to admit this. But he backtracks immediately, not in terms of how many buy the books. Yeah, right. Now, by the way, his absolute, Absolute Justice? I can't remember what the name of the event was last year. Did not sell well at all before this DC All-In thing. It was not moving the needle. It absolutely bombed. And yes, so it was a problem with how many people were buying the books. That is a big thing. DC Comics had 66% of its line below the cancellation threshold before this Absolute thing started. It's pretty crazy. So now only the Absolute universe sells. The real DC universe, where Mark Waid writes, does not sell very well. It gets zero attention. The Absolute universe, it's such a weird marketing scam. I don't understand why people are so in on it. It's so stupid, but it'll die off. It'll fizzle in a couple of years, and they won't have anything again. Because what are they going to do? Reset the universe again? Oh, cool. That's a fun story. So he says, if we learned anything in the last 10 years. It's the number of people who believe the things you and I were taught growing up by superheroes is smaller in number than we ever wanted to believe, and that's a gut punch to me. Now, superheroes mostly like fight crime and stuff like that. Like they go and there's a robber robbing a jewelry store and they stop it, and then some nut job puts on octopus arms and fuses them with his body, and then robs even bigger things, tries to blow up nuclear bombs and things. So let's look at America, my friends. The average American who voted for Trump isn't doing that. In fact, a lot of the looting and all that goes on in these big cities where the Democrats are in control. It's quite the opposite. And this is why they can't tell stories that make sense or matter in modern day times, because it's false. Like when they make it in, instead of that, it's a MAGA rally, and these people are hateful of brown people, and Captain America has to stop the white people. It doesn't feel fun or real because it's not real. None of that's actually happening, right? What's actually happening is San Francisco is getting completely destroyed. You can't park your car there. You can't step outside without, stepping on a hypodermic needle or something like that because of the liberal policies. And so if you wanted a real character, you'd have the Punisher go in and clean it up, because it's like, okay, they defunded the police. I'm done. Wow, that's a good comic book idea. Don't steal that, guys. I'm going to do that. Oh my gosh. But that's why it doesn't ring true, because their values, quote, ring false. And it's not the values of superheroes. They don't have the values of superheroes, because the superheroes are trying to clean things up and make things great again, right? And they can't agree with that. It's a real problem. Superman was truth, justice, and the American way, so they removed that from Superman. They removed the line because they didn't want to do it. And now they make Superman all about making out with gay dudes, right? And so that's not what America's about. The bad guys won. This is where he goes crazy. The bad guys. This is, again, you could see how mentally ill he is, because he doesn't actually live in a reality. He lives in a good guys, bad guys world. Bad team, their team. Red team, bad. Blue team, good. And he's so caught up in fantasy all the time that he can't think or can't process anymore. He only views it in terms of his weird superhero universe he has going on in his head. I mean, this guy's got problems, very obviously. At this moment, and hopefully we can turn this around, but the bad guys have won. And I can understand the need to tell inspiring, heroic stories of hope in a time like this, but really I do. Conversely, I understand. I already know. It's difficult because, when you write this stuff, you really want to believe that right makes might. Right makes might. Yes. Interesting. You can see just like how they think and how fake it all is. At the end of the day, goodness and kindness is a virtue that will win the day. You want to believe this, and I have no evidence to prove this right now for the first time in my life. It's debilitating. Yeah. Now, Mark Waid, of course, does not act like this. If you remember, he actually, his kindness was trying to stop your boy Zach from printing comic books through Antarctic Press back in the day. Everybody forgets this. There was a lawsuit. They raised money for it. I don't know what happened, but he did, and he went out there and tortiously interfered because he wanted to stop people from making comic books. That's his kindness, right? These are the same people, like his ilk. Maybe not him personally. Went and reported me to Kickstarter, so I can't make my books on Kickstarter. They tried to hurt my family just because I wanted to make comics, and they don't agree with me on certain political issues. It's really crazy. This is the opposite of kindness, and this is why their message always fails. This is why, again, they can't write good comic books anymore, because it's not true. Nothing they say is true. And this is where he goes really crazy, because he says he's scared to leave America at this. He says, I've turned down overseas conventions, and Larry Hama was saying similar, because I don't have any confidence I can get back into the country, for God's sake. Yeah, sure, Mark Waid. Yeah, right. It sounds silly, but it's a non-zero chance. Yeah, Mark, I think you should maybe not go outside, because you have a non-zero chance of getting struck by lightning. You should probably, unplug all the electrical in your house, because there's a non-zero chance that you'll get electrocuted through all of those. In fact, you should never eat food again, because there's a non-zero chance you're going to get food poisoning. I mean, it's absurd to live this way. But they're in abject fear. Like I said, they're crazy. More and more people are being arrested at the border who are U.S. citizens. No, they're not, because we have seized their devices. We see they have negative things to see about the administration. This has not happened. There's nowhere this has happened. And what you have the best case scenarios, you got to go back someplace. The worst case is, here's your chains. Step in the box. So you see, he is just completely deranged. He's in a fantasy land where, like, he thinks he's going to get arrested. But he's not, because he's sitting here online ranting about this stuff that's not true, and nobody's bothering him. If he actually was afraid, he wouldn't be doing this. If there was actual fascism going on, like he imagines in his head, he would not be on a podcast in public doing this stuff. There are no it's quite the opposite. These people are fascists. They'll remove you from the industry. They'll try to make it so you can't make a living. They'll make it so that you cannot get your work published anywhere. And hurt your families and try to destroy you, all because of it's quite the opposite. That's who Mark Waid is. That's what he stands for. And that's why he thinks everybody else who's against him stands for that, because it's projection. Really, it is. It's crazy. So absolutely. So he says, I'm not saying this is going to happen to me going to other people coming in and out of the country, because it's not. It's very obvious, right? It's pretty ridiculous. And this is just where he's crazy. But he talks about this because he says there's an innocent person caught in the crosshairs, and now they're in El Salvador. And this is all about the MS-13 gang member who's in an El Salvadoran prison, who's an El Salvadoran national, who's not even an American citizen, here illegally, and was caught as a gang member. I mean, this is not Mark Waid, though maybe Mark Waid should be in an El Salvadoran prison. Maybe he'd get a better perspective on life. So you can see this guy's just crazy. And he, like I said, they go on these podcasts where like 3 people watch, because it doesn't matter. They can say whatever they want. They're scared to talk to real influencers like me here. Like, we get real views, and probably could sell some real comic books here. We did it for Steve Ditko's new project. I mean, they made like over $2,500 because of this channel. I mean, it's but hey, that doesn't matter to them. Now, oh well, this is what they are. This is who they are. They hate you. They want you dead, and that's exactly why we have to build a new industry that's better, my friends. And that's exactly what we're doing. So please, so urgent, get on my newsletter so I don't miss you again. I'm going to have great comic books. I've come out with 13. So while people like your boy Zach and Ethan Van Sciver made these promises back in the day, they acted like they were fighting a culture war, like they were going to produce comics. They didn't deliver. We've been delivering this entire time, and these guys have tried to hold us down the entire time. Like I said, banning us from Kickstarter, just like attacking personally all the time, all because they know the real deal is right here. And so join the real deal, join the real movement today. Get on the newsletter. We have a Discord community that's wonderful. I love interacting with you guys. And get some books and support the channel. Read is so important. This is how we're going to change the culture. We have a great bunch of heroes here, and there's going to be a lot more. The best is yet to come. I can't wait to show it all to you later this year. Thank you so much for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment down below with what you think of Mark Waid. We'll be back soon.